Hello, and welcome to episode 130 of The Joy of Coding. My name is Mike Conley, and hi, how are you? Episode 130, we're going to be, as per usual, hacking on Firefox stuff today. Good to see you. I'm glad you're here. Let's get started. So, here's the agenda for today. A reminder. As usual, no plan survives breakfast. I kind of have a sense of what I want to do today, but only kind of. And, I might get derailed. I haven't pre-planned any of these things that we're about to do today beyond just kind of thinking I'd like to do them. So the solutions that I end up coming up with or the approaches, I'm making it up as I go. And I'm trying to capture software development in the raw. And so hopefully that's what you end up seeing. And I just realized now I need to plug in my laptop or else I'm going to quickly run out of batteries. So let me do that. So first thing I want to do is do a quick shout out to the episode guide. And I've actually got some special news about the episode guide. So there is an episode guide. If you go and follow this link in the agenda, hold on, let me back up a second here. This agenda that we're looking at is something that you can have access to. Depending on where you are watching this stream, maybe you're watching it live right now, or maybe you're watching it like a recording and you're in the future at some point. Hello, future. This guide should be available. There's a link somewhere near you. If you're watching this on Mozilla, it's in the additional link section down below. If you're watching this on YouTube, it's in the video description. If you're watching this on Facebook, it's in a pinned comment below this video. And if you're watching this on Twitch, you folks on Twitch, there is a link that I just dropped into the Twitch chat. So hopefully you can follow that. There's also a link to rate this episode and let me know what you think of this episode. I read all the ratings that come in, and in order to encourage more people to send ratings, I've hidden a picture of myself inside the rating form. So go check it out. Go look at the rating form after this episode. Look at the picture if you care to see a picture of me. Maybe I'll do that every week. I'll put a new funny picture in just to drive more people into that form to give me more feedback. So this episode guide, if you were to click on the link in the agenda, which you have access to, you'd notice that there are links for a bunch of episodes leading right up to 127. I think that's the most recent one. And some of these episode guides have, I think they all have links to the episode as well as to the agenda, but some of them also have high-level, broad view listings of the topics that I cover. For example, in this one, I talked about like weak maps and what keys can be in a weak map and how to push to try server. And what else did I talk about? In episode 126, I talked about some keyboard shortcuts that I use and adding keyword searches to Firefox, that sort of thing. So you should check out the episode guide. And one of the things I wanted to do, and just this past weekend had the opportunity to do, is, I've got 127, 128. If you sum it all up, because there are a couple of missing episodes, if you sum up all the videos, there's something like 127 or 128 episodes in total. And each one's about 2 hours long. So if we round down a little bit and do a little bit of math, there's over like 10 days worth of material if you were to watch just end to end. If you were to watch every single episode end to end, you have like a little over, you have something like a week and a half's worth of material, maybe a little over that. That's a lot of material, and there might be some useful information in here that would be nice to search and would be nice for people to be able to read, because some people might want to view the Joy of Coding, watch these episodes, but maybe they can't hear. Maybe they'd like to be able to read what I'm saying. And so one thing I wanted to do was take advantage of some research that was recently done in the Mozilla Emerging Technologies group called Deep Speech. So Mozilla Deep Speech is a speech-to-text engine that is quite good. It powers, we have this test pilot add-on that is called VoiceFill. I think that's powered by Deep Speech. The Internet of Things project, the Things stuff that's coming out of Mozilla right now for controlling Internet of Things devices in your home uses deep speech for simple voice commands. And you can download this pre-trained model. It's a pretty big download, but there are instructions on how you can download the pre-trained model and run it on some wave data. It's like waveform data, audio data, and get inferences out of it, get text out of it. And that's what I've started to do. I wrote a program called Adzo. Let me show you the source code real quick. So it's inside the Joy of Coding episode guide repository. I put a folder right at the bottom here called utils. Inside this is Adzo. Just trivia, Adzo is named after the character Adzo of Melk, a Benedictine novice from one of my favorite novels. Umberto Eco's The Name of the Rose. It's a very good book, highly recommended. If you like medieval murder mysteries, written by someone who has a good sense of history and can write really, really well. Umberto Eco, one of my favorite authors. So this script, adzo.py, will wrap a bunch of utilities. This is a quick and dirty hack that I threw together, but essentially it will take a link. You pass it a link to a video, one of my Joy of Coding videos, for example. It will download that video. Then it will call into FFmpeg, which, if you're not familiar, is a sort of a Swiss Army knife for video and audio encoding, decoding, and editing. It will call into FFmpeg and strip the audio out and produce a temporary file, which is a 16,000 hertz 16-bit wave file, because that's what deep speech understands. And then once it has that wave file, it will pass that into deep speech and produce what is called a VTT file. A VTT file is, or Web VTT is a standard for video text track. That's what the VTT stands for, and you can use it in your web videos, with your video tags, to add captions or subtitles to your videos. And that's what I'm producing here, and I've started to produce some. So Adzo is being used to produce transcriptions, essentially automated transcriptions of episodes of The Joy of Coding, and I've started to do this, and it takes a little bit of time. It took, I think, for an hour and a half video, it takes something like 2 hours or 2.5 hours, depending on what else the computer is doing, to produce the transcription. I've started to track the work in the spreadsheet, which you can also access from the agenda. So I've done episodes 1, 16, because 16 was short. It was one of my test cases. And then I did 28 and 29, my 2 recent episodes. And what I do after I produce these transcriptions is I upload them to a service called amara.org, amara.org. And what you can do if you go to amara.org is you can help edit these transcriptions and improve them. So the video, if you play it, I'm going to play it, but I'm going to mute it. You can see there are transcriptions that are added here. See, this is from Adzo, but also from, I think, myself and Sam Foster, one of a colleague here at Mozilla, a viewer of The Joy of Coding, has contributed to improving the transcriptions that Adzo comes up with. Because some of the transcriptions that Adzo comes up with are really quite poor. I'd say it gets it about 45 to 50% right, which is pretty good, especially because I'm talking quickly and I'm using a lot of Firefox and Gecko jargon. So I think that Adzo actually does a pretty good job. But the transcriptions themselves could use a human touch, and that's what amara.org is useful for. So this is a free platform that I'm using for making it possible for you, my viewing community, to contribute if you want to. This is completely optional, but if you want to help me out, if you want to help out other viewers, maybe viewers who want to who want to read the text and cannot hear it or don't want to hear it, or perhaps you want to help because in the future I'll be using this to build a search index of all of the stuff I've covered, and then make it easier to translate the videos from one language to another. All of this will help. And so if you go to amara.org and follow the links in the spreadsheet, you can contribute translations. So you'd end up on a site like this, or a page like this, and then you can click the video here under the video where it says English, and you can choose improve these subtitles. And if you choose improve these subtitles, you go to this editor tool, and then you can start editing the subtitles. and that's fantastic. If you can contribute, amazing. And so that's a thing that I'm putting out to you. If you've wanted to contribute to Mozilla or Firefox or the joy of coding and you're not sure how, or you don't know how, if you're you feel nervous about writing patches or something, this is another way you can contribute, is by helping to transcribe. So these are the links. Just follow them in the spreadsheet that's in the agenda. I'm in the middle of transcribing 2. It might actually be done. We can check, because I'm using beast mode to do it. So we can check to see how beast mode's doing. Let's just do that real quick. Let's see how episode 2 is doing. So I'm going to pump up the font so you can see it. And you can't see the bottom, so I'm going to bring this up. So I'm going to sign into beast mode. I put in the wrong password. I put in the wrong password again. Oh, come on. There we go. And then if you check out, yeah, it's done. It finished. It took 2 hours and 14 minutes on beast mode to transcribe an hour and a half of audio. And it produced this file called joyofcoding002.vtt. So actually, now is a great opportunity for me to pull down Joy of Coding episode 3, if I can find it. I'll do Joy of Coding episode 3. Let's find it. Here it is. And I'm just going to kick this off, this transcription. So I'll go to download. I'm going to choose the video link here, and then I'm going to tell Adzo Python, Adzo, what's the format here? It wants deep speech modeldir, which is projects deep speech, and then vid URL, put that in quotes, and then the output, which unfortunately is being truncated here. Uh-oh, live hacking is saying, Smurfty, I think you're offline on YouTube. Oh no! What's happened on YouTube? Let me find out. What's happening on YouTube? Quick, to the live dashboard. Video output is low. YouTube's not receiving enough video to maintain smooth streaming. So there's going to be buffering. Uh-oh. How do I... Am I dropping... I've dropped a bunch of frames. Why would that be? Am I still dropping frames? Maybe reload if you're on YouTube right now. Apparently I've dropped some frames, but I'm not dropping frames right now. Maybe there was like a little YouTube hiccup. I'm monitoring the output here. My frame drop rate is going down, so maybe there was like a mild hiccup. Let's reload this page and see if the stream health is improved. Stream health is still not super great. I'm not receiving enough video. Oh, now it's better. Stream health is now green. Okay, Smurf D, hopefully that's better. Thanks for alerting me. You just got a peek behind the curtain there. I'm glad I didn't accidentally show you my stream key. So we're gonna start by, what is it here? Adzo output joy of coding 003.vtt. That's what we're going to generate. So let's see what happens. So I'm going to press enter. It's going to go download the video. This is using a handy Python module called progress bar 2, which creates these really nice progress bars. I didn't code them. Thankfully, someone else did. Hey, sometimes like libraries, they're the best. Both software libraries and actual libraries. Smurfd says it appears to work, but I'm behind. Behind? Does that mean that there's just like I'm a little bit delayed on YouTube? I guess we'll see. Maybe if this is painful to watch on YouTube, consider switching to Twitch. You can also watch the Joy of Coding stream. I'm not sure if there's much else I can do at this point. YouTube might just need to catch up. My frame rate droppage is continuing to drop, which is nice. My droppage rate. And push come to shove, maybe you just enjoy watching the recording after the fact. Streaming is always just a bit of a crapshoot. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. It's so dependent on like network conditions. But at least the recording, whenever the recording is done, it'll work out. Uh-oh. No such file or directory. Whoops! There's a bug in Adzo. So I recently pushed a patch, and I think I screwed up. Hang on, let me. You're gonna watch me patch Adzo just on the fly here. So what I did was I create these temporary files to download the video to and to output the WAV file from FFmpeg. And one of the things that I noticed was that I was being asked, oh yeah, that's why. I gotta put -y over here. I was being asked if I wanted to overwrite the temporary file that I just created by FFmpeg, and of course I do. I just created it so that you can write into it. And it was, there's a -y argument you can pass to FFmpeg so that it just assumes that it can overwrite. Fix -y parameter to FFmpeg code. That's it. Yeah. Origin master. Just push to the master branch. Why not? And then gonna pull that down. Get pull origin master. And then let's try that again. So it's going to download the video super fast because of caching. Go and get it. I just, like, this isn't what I wanted to do today, but I wanted to show you what's going on and how Adzo works. And you can forecast, if you want to use Adzo for your own videos, feel free. I mean, all of the software is free. The audio transcription or the deep speech model is all free. So FFmpeg is now stripping the wave format, the wave file out, 16,000 hertz mono, and now it's loading the deep speech model, and it's going to write to joyofcoding003.vtt. And then, if all goes well, deep speech will start doing. This is the sort of the long part of the operation, is the transcription part, and so what we can do is we can actually take a look and see what's being written to this Joy of Coding 3 file. So it's tailf joy of coding -003.vtt. And we can see, hey, it's recognizing words. Hello, everybody. I'm welcome to that's got to be welcome to episode 3 of the, and then missed something, must be coding. I'm going to be packing on some Farbox butts. I'm going to be hacking on some Firefox. See, this is the sort of thing that, like, I need people to help with, because the transcriptions are pretty good, but not perfect. Follow along as I do my thing and hopefully we'll get some work done. So let's get right down to it. That sounds like me. I mean, we're doing this about an hour and a half, so too much time. I mean, then mutilintamera. Too much time. I mean, mutilintamera. I don't know what I said there. So that you can see what the plan is. No, I have no idea. But there we go. And clearly there are times when I burst a lot of words into 5 seconds, which maybe I need to change the interval. Or maybe I need to just slow down my speaking in future. Because I'm doing 5-second intervals here. Anyways, that's what's going on. That's Adzo. We're going to let Adzo do its work in the background. It's going to take more than this episode length to do this. But I'll disconnect from beast mode and let it work in the background. So, what are we doing today? That's Adzo, by the way. Feel free to check it out. If you've got patches, if you want to contribute to the Adzo tool, it's right sitting there in the Joy of Coding utils utils folder. Go ahead and read the documentation. The code is licensed to MPL2. And it's not very long. It's not super complicated. It's pretty hacky. I just threw it together, but go check it out if you're curious. And it's mostly just gluing together libraries. The most impressive part, I'd say, is the deep speech stuff, and that is not stuff I wrote. That is something that came out of like the emerging technologies group, and I'm riding their tailcoats. Okay, so what are we doing? That's all I wanted to say about Adzo. Sorry for burning like 15 minutes talking about it. Remember last week we were working on promise document flushed? Well, guess what? That work's done. It landed. So now all of that panel work that Paulo was doing that he was blocked on me, he needed promise document flushed. Now he has it, and so we've got sort of these really nice transitions that are occurring without doing layout flushes, and so I was able to unblock him, which I felt pretty good about. It doesn't feel good when you're blocking someone else's work when they're waiting patiently for your work. And when he, by using promise document flushed, he was also able to get rid of an XBL binding, the panel multi-view XBL binding. We are attempting to get rid of all of our XBL bindings. XBL bindings are like how we bind JavaScript logic to custom nodes. It's basically like custom elements, but from mid to late 2000s custom elements. And there are interesting characteristics of XBL that, to put it mildly, make it a bit of a challenge to work with. So we're attempting to migrate away from XBL, and we can do that now that we don't have to worry about old school Zool add-ons. Because we now use web extensions, we are free to clean out all of the XBL in the underlying platform, which is really, really nice. We can transition to code that is easier to reason about and easier to maintain and easier to improve over time, because XBL and Zool slow us down a lot. We move as fast as we can, but XBL and Zool they slow us down. And so there's this, whoops, that's not arewexblstill.com, which has this nice graph that shows how XBL is decreasing, the amount of XBL code is decreasing in the tree over time, and there's this nice big fall off. I think we got rid of a binding here. Like, we definitely got rid of the panel multi-view binding around here, but this big fall off is because we just got rid of the tab browser XBL binding, which is really, really nice. And so there's a nice big cliff there, a humongous chunk. I think it was the vast majority of our XBL lines of code was in the tab browser binding, and that's this blue chunk down here, and it's just gone now. We got rid of it, which is great news. So that's that. That was promise document flushed. And then the other thing I wanted to talk about was there was this bug that I was dealing with. We've been working on tab warming for, it felt like forever. And there was this bug that we were dealing with tab warming where I think I'd fixed it. It landed a patch to fix like these really, really short tab spinners, which we never want to see. And it landed and bounced, and I couldn't figure out what the issue was. It turned out it wasn't nearly as hard as I thought it was. It just took me a while to get there because I was concentrating so much on promise document flushed work. But if you're curious about why it was broken, you should read this comment. This comment sort of explains why things were broken, and it has landed. So I am confident now that tab warming is working pretty well. And it's still off by default. We're about to end the 60 cycle. Nightly 60 is about to become nightly 61 in about a week or so. And whenever that happens, very early on in the 61 cycle, I'm going to turn on tab warming by default nightly. And if all goes well, I'm going to have it ride the trains out to release. But you can actually, if you're on nightly, you can try tab warming right now. If you go to about config and flip browser tabs.remote.warmup.enabled to true, and restart the browser, you can test tab warming. And I'm testing it right now, and I feel pretty good about it, and I feel like tab switching does get faster with tab warming. That is my anecdotal personal experience, and I'm hoping that once we turn it on by default, the data will also support that anecdotal evidence that it improves things. So that's done. Tab warming is coming soon to a browser near you, and I'm pretty sure Firefox is the only browser that does tab warming. And if you're curious about the technology behind tab warming, you should. I wrote a blog post that I will link to. There you go. There is a link in the agenda to my blog post about how tab warming works. So you should check it out. So what are we going to work on today? Great question. Now that we have promise document flushed, there are actually other layout flushes that we can get rid of, and I have been looking at one. So on the top of the list is this bug here, or I think I just picked it at random. 1358719. I'll put a link to that here in the agenda. And let me attach some notes. So I will create a new note for it in Evernote, as is my habit. And so what I've done, if we take a look at the patch, so before we have this function inside. Let me describe kind of what's going on here, what we're trying to fix. Whenever we have the bookmarks toolbar open, so that's this thing here. This is the bookmarks toolbar. It's not available by default, but a lot of people use it. We do this calculation whenever we are shrinking, when this window resizes, to determine which of these can continue to stay in the toolbar and which have to be removed. See, like that, and then it disappears, and then it disappears, and then eventually it will reappear once there's enough space. Like that. That sort of thing. So that was using a timer. I think that still continues to use a timer. Browser places views.js. And so there's this timer that's fired whenever I think a resize occurs. And we do what's called a debounce. So if a lot of resize events are coming in, for each one of those resize events, we create a timer. And if there's a pre-existing timer, we cancel the old one and create a new timer. And that way, we only do the calculation once there's been enough of a pause between resize events such that we feel like, okay, now we can do the calculation. So that's called debouncing. And once we call the timer, we're doing this update nodes visibility timer callback. And if we look at the source code in the tree as it is today, what we were doing was using request animation frame to queue up this function update nodes visibility timer callback, which one of the first things it does is it gets the bounding client rect of the root element, which I believe is the toolbar. And that's a terrible time to do that. Using request animation frame as a way of queuing up a callback to fire so that you can get layout information is a terrible time, because what you've done is you've moved JavaScript to run at like request animation frame. If you look at the pipeline, there's this document here that you might be interested in reading. This is becoming like where we put all the tips and tricks for improving front-end performance. Oh, I also have to put the link to the note. Hold on. There we go. And then notes. So in this document, we talk about the pipeline to get pixels to the screen, and this is the pipeline: JavaScript style, layout, paint, composite. And request animation frame, I think a lot of people think that what it does is it queues JavaScript up. If you call it in the JavaScript step, they think that what it does is it queues JavaScript to run after all of this stuff has occurred, and then it runs right at the beginning of the next JavaScript tick. And that is not the case. Request animation frame queues up JavaScript to run here at the very end, just before you're about to do style, layout calculations. And that's a pretty bad time, because chances are you have a DOM that has been manipulated by the time you reach the end of this. JavaScript is, if like the DOM has been dirtied, this is the time when it's most likely, and that's the worst time, when the DOM is dirty, to query for style and layout information. I mean, we're going to do the style and layout calculations anyways in this next step, but the thing is, request animation frame is where you want to manipulate the DOM. That's when you want to write to the DOM and change things. like add classes and add styles and set heights and widths and move boxes around. You do that in request animation frame, and then style and layout calculations occur. And then only after those occur as part of the standard refresh driver tick that happens every 16 milliseconds or so, then the information, the style and layout information, having already been pre-calculated, is cheap to access from JavaScript. So what you want is to run your JavaScript for getting like sizes and position of things early, very early, and that's what promise document flushed allows us to do. That's the API we added, is it runs JavaScript right after this, right here at the very beginning. And so that's what I've started to modify the code to do. Before, we were just immediately calling get bound and client rect inside a request animation frame callback, which is not great. And now, instead of using request animation frame, we call update nodes visibility timer callback, and one of the first things we do is I wait on promise document flushed. And I've also got this reentrancy guard. So here's the thing. I'm not entirely, because this function is becoming asynchronous, it's possible for another timer to fire before this function has had a chance to, like the first time calling this function has had a chance to exit. And that's a bit weird. You could get like two of these functions executing maybe at the same time, which isn't a great situation. That's not how this is supposed to behave. So what I've put is something called a reentrancy guard. And that's a very fancy way of saying I set a Boolean at the beginning of the function to true, and then I clear it at false, and when I enter the function, I check to see if that Boolean is true, and if so, I bail out. That is what I call a reentrancy guard, and I think that's what I want to do. Hang on. Updating nodes visibility. Set to false. Oh, and I probably don't want to set it on the prototype. I want to set it on the instance. This dot updating nodes visibility is false, and then update nodes visibility we say true, and then we say it's false here. And so what I do inside this function is we'll wait for the document to be flushed before getting the rect of the toolbar. Once we have that, then we will go through each of the children to determine whether the child, let's see here, is overflowed. And if so, then we will, we'll promise document flushed. Yeah, we get each. I wonder if we should like do this all at once. If not, child overflowed. Child overflowed equals. Well, I do it this way anyway. So for each of the children in, so each of the bookmarks in the toolbar, if we are not overflowed, then we await promise document flushed. We get the bounding client rect. And we check to see whether or not the child rect left is less than scroll rect left and the child rect right is greater than scroll rect right, and that means we're overflowed. And if we are overflowed, then we queue up an animation frame to remove the attribute and set the visibility to hidden. Otherwise, we queue up an animation frame to do other things to the child, and then we go through this again. And we go through it several times, and chances are the first time we go through, we might need to flush, wait for the document to be flushed, but second time through, because we're waiting until request animation frame to actually touch the DOM, this should probably be pretty fast. Like, this should probably execute within the same tick, synchronously, which is kind of a nice property. And then these all kind of get queued up right at the end. And then once this is all done, then we'll rebuild the chevron, and then we exit. So I think that's working the way I want it to work. And what I wanted to do is get this patch up for review. So you can see it. One of the things that we can do actually to make sure that this is working, I have this add-on called ohnoreflow, which measures and detects synchronous layout flushes. And here's what we're going to do actually. I'm going to amend the patch. And then I'm going to pop the patch off, or like undo the patch so that we're in the old state. Rebuild, and then I'm going to show you how ohnoreflow detects those reflows, those layout flushes. And then we're going to put the patch back on, rebuild, and then notice that the flushes should be gone. That's the hope. And then we should write a test. That's the other thing. We should make it easy to write a test for this. Or we should write a test for this because it should be easy. So let's see here. So let's get ohnoreflow installed and enabled. There it is. It's running. And now I'm going to navigate to about blank. I'm actually going to clear all of the pre-existing reflows, and then I'm going to resize the window. Let's see what happens. Ready? Resize. Okay, and now we're going to reload the report. We're going to take a look at the report here. Where did my reload button go? Did I move my reload button? I think I may have. Yeah, whoopsie daisy. So yeah, here it is. PT update nodes visibility timer callback. That is being called a lot, and this one cost 2 milliseconds. Most of these were pretty cheap, but these were pretty bad. They're not great, and there were more here. And so now that we've established that we reflow in that case, we will now update to tip where we have our fix, rebuild, and then run. So now we have to reload our about debugging. ohnoreflow, and now let's resize the window again. Yeah, nothing. No problems there. Let's do it again. Let's do it again here. Let's just make sure. It's a bit janky still, but I have a feeling that's because of other things unrelated to the reflows. Let's reload. Yeah, I don't see it. I don't see the chevron stuff from places view. So I think we fixed it. So the first thing now to do is to make sure that we haven't broken anything. So let's run our tests, browser, components, places, tests. Let's test the browser. Is there anything about the bookmarks toolbar? Browser toolbar. Overflow. That sounds exactly like what we want to test. Jote says that now they can watch Joy of Coding properly. I'm not sure what that means. Oh, you've full screened me? Is that what has happened? Interesting. Well, thank you. I appreciate the vote of confidence. Thank you for allowing me to take over a large portion of your screen. Okay, let's see what this test does. Huh, we got some failures. Now, are these failures introduced by our patch? Let's find out. And if so, well, then we can start investigating and finding out what we did. How did we break things? Because maybe we broke things, or maybe the test needs to be updated.
It's me, Mario!
Oh, Jotes bought a new TV, and so I'm full screened on Jotes' TV. Hello, Jotes. This TV feels great. Oh man, I'm inside your TV. This is a beautiful piece of technology that you have. Wow, you've got a really nice apartment. It's me being weird inside your TV. Well, congratulations on the new TV, Jotes. Let's play a sound for Jotes.
Oh yeah.
There you go. So yeah, we did break something. Without the patch, we pass all 58 tests. With the patch, we fail. We fail some tests. So let's figure out what we broke. Faster. Meanwhile, we can also check to see how Adzo is doing on beast mode. We can keep checking back. If I can get my password right. Come on. There we go. Adzo is 20% done. Episode 3. Alright, pretty good. Pretty good. Keep it up. Keep it up, Adzo. Alright, we'll detach. So let's run the test again. Have it fail. And then we'll start pulling apart the test and seeing what it does and how it works. All right, bunch of failure. Let's see how it works. Let's open this test up. So thankfully, it's one of our it's a modern test. It's using async and await. That's great. And let's just look at the first failure. Line 125 happens right here when we are inside test index. So maybe I can skip some of these other tests. So I will add dot skip. And I guess I don't need this one. Oh wait, I think I do. I think, yeah, hold up. These are helper functions, and then this is the actual test itself here. I think I can skip this one. I think, test index. Yeah. So I'm gonna skip this. And let's see which one it fails at. The first failure occurs here inside node at last visible index right here. So I think I can probably just disable a bunch of these other tests. Like, this is usually my first step when I'm debugging in test failures. I attempt to reduce the test case to as few things as possible. Minimizing the test case. Like, what's the smallest unit of thing that can fail? That can get us into the failure state. And that's because it's easier to reason about. All right, good. So we passed 9 tests and we failed 2 tests. That's good. And of those, the bookmark node should be visible. Node should be visible. So what we know now is we can probably ignore test move index. We can ignore all of this stuff. None of that's running. We can ignore, we have to do the setup probably. We do this stuff. But this is where the failure is occurring. Oh, don't need to worry about this either. It's here that we need to worry about. So what does this test do? Now that we've subtracted a bunch of stuff, let's see what the test does. First of all, it looks like it erases all of the bookmarks. So it's doing some setup here, and it inserts some like dummy bookmarks, I think. And it, how many bookmarks count? It adds 250. 250 bookmarks. And then it uncollapses the bookmarks toolbar. And then it sets up a cleanup function to hide everything and erase the bookmarks when we're done. Okay, that's easy. That's the setup. And in this test, we start by making sure that the overflow chevron should be visible. Because we have 250 bookmarks in the bookmarks toolbar, I guess. And yeah, it's inside the toolbar. So 250 bookmarks means, yeah, you're going to be overflowed. You're going to have the chevron. And the number of child nodes should not equal the bookmarks count because they shouldn't all be built by default. And then what we do is we go through each of the child nodes, and if the node visibility is visible, we add visible nodes push node. And then we assert that the number of visible nodes should be smaller than the number of built nodes. Yep, that's apparently true. And then we call test index. Node at the last visible index. It's making sure that I guess that this node is visible. Let's find out. So you take a string that's like, I guess, what the test is supposed to be doing. It's like a descriptor string. You take an index and then whether or not it's expected to be visible. In this case, we expect of all the nodes that are visible, we take the last one and we expect it to still be visible, strangely. So we log the string. We get the child nodes. We get the length of all the children. We make sure that the node exists by making sure that the length is greater than the index we were passed. We check to see if the previous node before the one that we've passed the index for is visible. And if it's expected that the node is visible or the previous node is visible, then we're going to wait for the bookmarks toolbar visibility updated event, which is, I think, what we fire here once all of this stuff is done. Otherwise, we resolve immediately. And then what we do is we insert another toolbar or another bookmark into the bookmarks toolbar. At the index that we had passed in. I see. So the idea is that you're going to insert one there and push the one that was used to be there off the end so that it becomes invisible. So you update visibility. And expected should be the children found the added bookmark at the expected position. Is that true? Yes, the expected position. And then the bookmark node should be visible. And that is not true. I wonder if that's because the bookmarks toolbar visibility updated event is firing before the request animation frame functions. So I wonder if we could put all of this, window, request, animation frame, we put those inside there so that we ensure that the event is fired after these have fired. I think that's what we need to do. Sorry, my nose is itchy. I swear I'm not into the nose candy. Kelvin Stroh asks, is this web dev? And the answer is, kind of. I'm working on a web browser, Firefox. And so you could kind of call it web dev, but not in the normal sense of the term. Thank you for the question, Kelvin Stroh. All right, let's see if the test passes now. It sure does. Okay, now let's put everything that we had taken away back. I can just revert the test. Revert all the changes to the test. And now rerun the test. Kelvin Stroh says, that's sick, my friend. Is it hard to make? I'm a beginner coder. Kelvin Stroh, welcome. I'm glad you're a beginner coder. Beginners are the best, and I'm so glad you're hanging out. Is it hard? It can be. There are harder bugs, there are easier bugs. Probably the hardest part is just how much code there is for Firefox. There's tens of millions of lines. There's no way one human can have all of that in their head. So there's a lot that you kind of have to blind yourself to and just kind of go, I don't understand that. I know the interface, but I don't know how it works, and I'm okay with that. Like, there's a lot of compartmentalization you have to do in order to not go completely bonkers because there's so much code. I mean, Firefox is in many ways like an operating system. It touches a lot of the low-level system interfaces. It's got like its own language, scripting language built into it. It's got like all the UI things, tons of features. It's pretty crazy. But if you're a new coder, Kelvin Stroh, you're a beginner coder, I have something for you. If you go to bugsahoy, if you're interested in contributing to Firefox, then I have something for you. So earlier in the Twitch chat, Kelvin Stroh, there is a link to the agenda. And if you don't see it, if for some reason it's not there, let me know and I'll put another copy of the link in there. This one for Kelvin Stroh, there's this tool called bugsahoy, which will allow you to find what we call mentored easy fix bugs, good first bugs for new people who want to hack on Firefox. Oh, you don't see the agenda. Okay, I will give you a copy. Here is the agenda. And Kelvin Stroh asked, do you do HTML and CSS too? Actually, believe it or not, the UI of Firefox is styled using CSS. The logic, a lot of it is written in JavaScript. And the markup for the browser UI, I'm going to show you some of the browser UI markup, kind of looks like HTML. Kind of. It's using a language that's similar to HTML called Zool. It's a similar XML language, but it's got some idiosyncrasies that we're attempting to migrate away from. Or some of the browser UI is developed in HTML. So yeah, if you know HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, you might find some bugs in Firefox, reasonably okay to handle. So this tool, bugsahoy, which I linked to in the agenda, will allow you to choose things that you're interested in. Let me pump up the font a little bit. So for example, if you're interested in the Firefox user interface, it will list out a bunch of bugs that we've identified as good first bugs that you can contribute to and you can get a patch written for. And each one of these bugs has a mentor assigned to it who will guide you through every step of the way and answer your questions when you have them. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff in here. Let's see. Default new tab in normal window shows up in a private window. That is currently assigned to Arthur Deschamps. But this one, make probe process choice more visible in about telemetry, that's unassigned. Maybe you're interested in hacking on that, Kelvin Stroh. This is a telemetry bug. The mentor is Chris HC. Chutton is the IRC nick. And if you're interested in getting started, just comment in the bug and say, I want to get started, and Chutton will reach out to you. And there are instructions on how to do a simple Firefox build depending on what platform you're on. Here, how to build Firefox on Windows, OS X, and Linux. So I'm going to update the agenda with that too. And then you can follow these instructions based on your OS, get a build going, and then fix the bug. And get some of your code into Firefox and get mentored along the way. So that's for you, Calvin Stroh. Calvin Stroh says, so Firefox is a browser app? Firefox is a web browser using the Gecko rendering engine to render both the web content. So all this stuff in here, Gecko renders it, and Gecko also renders the UI of the browser. So we use the layout and styling mechanisms for the web area, also for the user interface of the browser. So yes, Firefox is a browser app. All right, I'm going to keep going. We've got our test passing. I'm pretty happy about it. So let's see. Let's just run all the tests. Let's run all of the places tests and see what happens. Just gonna run some tests here, no problem. Just opening some stuff up. Browser's showing menus. Roo-doo-doo-doo-doo. I think there's actually a way of doing this in headless mode, and then I wouldn't have to like sit here and watch it. Maybe I should try that next time. Come on. Let's play some music. Let's see here. That's not really music. I don't actually have any music I can play without getting in trouble from YouTube. So what I'll do instead is just play some sounds.
Hey, what happened? What happened?
Oh, wow, 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 wow. Okie dokie.
Oh, yeah.
It's me, Mario.
You all? You all? You all?
Come on, hurry up, test.
Here we go.
And this is a loud one, but one of my favorites. Wow, there are a lot of tests here. I'm grateful for that. You want to have a lot of tests in your bookmarking code. People really care about bookmarks. They care that the UI for bookmarking works correctly. Oh, good. We've got the bookmark toolbar visible now. That's important. That's all part of stuff that we touched, so that's what we want. And if this all passes, then the next thing I want to do quickly before the episode ends is to try and write a reflow test, a regression test to make sure that we don't introduce new reflows. Hey, we passed all the tests. That's great. Oh, and we're running more. Okay. I did not expect that. But these seem relevant. I saw the bookmark toolbar open at least once. Hey, we did it. We did it. Pew! Is there another sound we can play? Like, all right. So let's write a new test then. So I'm gonna update first of all the commit message. Here, get rid of synchronous layout flush in browser places view, and then this uses promise document flushed to make it easier to query for layout information for the overflowing bookmark toolbar without causing sync layout flushes. All DOM operations have been moved. DOM operations on the toolbar have been moved to the end of the a move to run within a request animation frame in order to reduce the likelihood that other JavaScript that's about to run will cause layout flushes, style or layout flushes. Okay. Now let's write our test. And what this will be is, I think, a resize, a window resize test. How do I want to do this? Inside browser base content performance, test performance, browser window. I should probably do browser window resize reflows. So I'm going to add a new one. Browser base content test performance, browser window resize reflows.js. And I'm going to start with nothing, no expected reflows to start. Even if the windows have been open in previous tests. Actually, what I'll do is, there was a function in head that was like prepare a ensure no preloaded browser. There was like window prepare settled window. That's what it was. Prepare settled window. What you do is you do that, await, prepare settled window. And then we're going to resize the window. Window.size to 50 by 50. And well, let's see what happens. Await the resize event. We expect no reflows. Let's see what happens. We have to add it to our list of tests. Browser, window, resize, reflows. Monkey test, browser-based content test, performance, browser, window, resize, reflows. Bum 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 bum. Oh, whoops. Wacky Morning DJ, where'd you go? Come on, run the test. So, caught window.size2 is not a function. Interesting. What is it? Window.size. Oh, is it resize 2? Resize 2. 50 by 50. Yeah, that's what it is. Okay, resize 2. Resize 2. Bum 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 boom. Did it not resize? It didn't resize, so let's resize ourselves. Oh, we also have to like ensure we display the bookmark toolbar to do resize to. Why wasn't wait for event? Why didn't this run? Resize to. Maybe that's too small. I don't see why it would be. Oh, I know. Because we called it on the wrong window. Win.resize to. Okay, so we got a bunch of failures here. That's excellent. So we can start logging these. We add them to our list of expected reflows. Stack. Max times, let's say, how many times? Once, twice, 3 times, 3 times. Was expected to happen up to 1 times, was encountered 26 times. Happen up to 1 times on overflow. So should I have added 26? Let's see. Was encountered 26 times. Reflow at on overflow. Full stack. This one was hit. Oh, is it slightly different? No. Full stack hit 20 times. This one was hit 5 times. On overflow, on overflow. Stack on overflow there's 4349, 4354, and 4358. They're all in constructor, then they're on overflow, on overflow, on overflow. One times. Maybe is it not max time? It's max count. That's what it is. Max count. All right, that passes. So now let's make sure that we make the toolbar show. How does that work? We have to uncollapse. I think I'm basically just gonna take all of this stuff. Async function setup. Some of these things I don't need. array const bookmark count equals, let's put in 150. 150 array fill map, okay. But let's do it on a particular window. Oh, we do it on this window, and then new windows get it as well. Okay, that's good. So that's toolbars class by default. Toolbar visibility. Promise set toolbar visibility. Uh-oh, what's that? Okay, so what we'll do then is function, async function, toggle personal toolbar when visible. Set toolbar visibility, how does that work? Oh, I see. Is visible persistent. Okay. Toolbar ID. Toolbar. Okay. So then what we'll do is let transition promise equal browser test utils promise, or wait for event on the toolbar win.g toolbar, let toolbar equal win.g toolbar, and then we'll say wait for event on the toolbar, transition end. If the event, here we can probably split this up a little. If the event dot, what is it, e dot property name return e dot property name equals max height, and then we need to use this transition promise, so we go set toolbar visibility, toolbar visible, and then we will await the transition promise. Okay, so then what we can do is register cleanup function. Yeah, promise toolbar visibility, and what we do is pass the, oh shoot, window. I guess I don't need to do that. The reason I'm doing this not on the window, but on the, like on the created window, if I do it on the root window, I think it makes it easier to do things all in setup where I haven't opened the window yet. And I think it propagates to new windows that get open, and then I just undo it on the original window whenever I tear it down. Promise set, how about, I'll call this, instead of toggle, yeah, it's toggle personal toolbar true. And then toggle personal toolbar, false. G toolbar, that's not, doesn't exist. Was it what was G toolbar? G toolbar equals personal toolbar, that's what it is. There we go. That should allow these lint failures to go away, and then let's see what happens now. And then, like, I cobbled a bunch of that stuff together. I can probably clean it up quite a bit, and I'll do that next if this passes. We have a failure. Failed to handle a rejection. And browser places views 1265. 1265. Ah, we're rejecting here. Oh, I think what happens is I need to wait for after the when await toolbar event. Is it visibility change? What was it? It was, yeah, toolbar visibility changed. Three failures. Unexpected reflow. Update node in scroll rect at 1266. 1266. What? How is this causing a reflow? Unexpected reflow. That's not supposed to happen. Visibility in browser 1273, also within a promised document flush callback. This is where it's supposed to be safe. What's going on here? Why would we be calling? Why would that? What? Maybe we're not calling let win equals this dot root alt dot owner global and use win. Why would there be reflowing? The refresh driver just ticked. There shouldn't be any reflows scheduled. No. This is bad news bears if this isn't working properly. Promise document flush isn't working properly. This is bad. Maybe. Yeah, still unexpected reflow. Why? Why? Hang on. Let's think this through. Dump. Running update nodes, running get bounding client rect, then dump need flush, and then I have this function promise document flushed, cert no flush is required. No utils, I'll do that. Win utils. So window win dot that, and then we're gonna ensure that it doesn't need a flush of style. Win utils needs flush style. That should be false. All right. I'm also going to write in dump dirtying the frame tree and dump waiting for promise document flushed. All caps. All right. What's the time? 2:25. I think I'm going to wrap this up shortly. But I'm hoping I can get an answer here on what's going on. Okay. Go back to our logging. Waiting for promise document flush. So we don't need a flush. And then somehow we cause a reflow anyways. Let rec equal that. Dump. Returning rect. And then over here, dump got a reflow. And over here, needs flush, maybe causing reflow now. Turning rect. Shouldn't cause a flush. Why would it cause a flush? Okay. Waiting for promised document flushed. Needs a flush. Maybe cause a reflow now. Got a reflow. Then it dirtied the frame tree. During the frame tree, wait, running, get bound, and client racked. Needs a flush, false. Maybe causing a reflow now? Got a reflow. Returning racked. Maybe causing a reflow now? Whenever apparently we don't need a flush. Why would that be? Is win top level window? Win equals win dot top. Should be. Because I know that this is not going to work for subframes, but I don't think it is a subframe. What could this be? I don't understand. Okay, well let's I mean, one thing we could do, although it's a little disappointing, we could use get bounds without flushing. So during the free, waiting for the promise to find, is it a top level window? Yeah. Then get needs a flush, causing reflow now. And then this one doesn't cause a reflow. That one didn't cause a reflow. So this one passed. What? Why would you have passed? So it's intermittent. Or did I just do something to make it pass? Oh, now it's passing. What? Verify, please. Verify will run the test in a whole bunch of different sort of scenarios and make sure that it's hardened. There we go. There's our failure. So it's intermittent. There's an intermittent. There's a reflow occurring, but why? 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 Okay, I need to understand that. I'm going to write that down. My test fails. Apparently, even if a top level window has promise document flushed called on it in the callback when accessing a bounding client rect, I can still sometimes cause a reflow to occur. Why? 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 Maybe get bounding client rect will... Didn't I get bounding? I did do that here. And this passes. I assert that, like, I can get a rect and I don't have this reflow occur. What if it's not occurring? I don't see it because I don't wait long enough. Wait, new promise, resolve. Set timeout, 1000 milliseconds. DOM base test. Browser. Is that possible? That no matter what, if you use get bounding client rect, you will cause a reflow observer to fire. Wait is only valid inside. Oh. I guess I mean to do this instead. Await new promise. Set time. Just quick and dirty. Quick and dirty. Trying to validate a hypothesis here, and then I'm going to call this episode done. Dunzo. Assert flushes are required. What if I try and get the... Why? It's off of a timer. All right, I gotta find out why this causes a flush even though apparently we don't need one. There must be something I'm missing. But that is for the next... I'll let you know next time I see you in the next episode what the result of that investigation is. I don't think I have time to do it now. So, cliffhanger. I don't have an answer for you, but hopefully by next week I will. Hey, thank you so much for watching episode 100 and... What episode is this? 130. This is episode 130 of The Joy of Coding. Thanks so much. Hey, before we go, let's just quickly check in on Adzo and see how it's doing transcribing episode 3. Let's see if it finished up. No, it's about halfway through. Just over halfway. 60% done. But let's see what it's saying. If we can look at batch of stuff that Charles as me to fix. Look at this. Adjust specific printed fields. This is garbage. Right, so that duplex stuff, that's, forget it now. So some of this is garbage. So back to where I was the next step. Now I read stuff that writing or reading the bug on that stuff might be. To place thing which I can get rid of, he wants me to get rid of. Who knows? This, I might need to test afterwards, because the reason that I added out, that might be it. It was because of crash, and I remember the steps in a to fix, or I remember the step. Anyway, transcription is still underway. 60% done. Just a reminder, if you are interested in helping to transcribe the videos, to fix up the ADZO transcriptions, auto transcriptions, go please to the link in the where I put in the agenda under episode guide. Check out the spreadsheet where you can see the state of each transcription as it's underway. In this case, number 3 is in progress. And then follow the links to Amara if you want to help out and transcribe. So for example, once more, I will show you how to do that. So we'll click on one of these links, and then it'll bring up this interface, and then in this drop down here you can choose to improve the subtitles, and then that will open up the subtitle editor, which will allow you to contribute corrections to the subtitles. And I would really appreciate it if you help me out there, so please do, please consider it. Help me out, help me help you, help me help you. So that's what's going on, and with that I think I'm going to call it for real. So thanks again for watching episode 130 of The Joy of Coding. I will see you next week. Take care. Bye-bye.
The joy of coding.
See ya.